Mike, we have surrounding energy. I'm not sure what everyone calls it. I sort of call it pranic energy.
Well,
But
really, we're all just energy.
that is true.
In the big scope of things,
That is
we
true.
are energy.
Yeah.
If you look at atoms and electrons and all those things that we're made up of, and when you split atoms, it gives off an amazing amount of energy.
That is true.
So we are energy.
Yeah. And we also have free-floating energy, and we have pockets of energy, and we have energy that is healing.
We got stuck energy.
Stuck energy. And in the spiritual field, there are those that can channel in that energy and help other individuals, as you all know. And today it's our fortunate experience to have with us Teresa Clark. Teresa is a Reiki practitioner, and she's at the 3rd level and ready for her attunement.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to welcome you, Teresa, to our program.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike and Pat. I'm kind of excited to be here. I like your new endeavor. It seems like it's going along pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're our first Reiki practitioner.
Wow.
So should be interesting. And we've dabbled a little bit in this and maybe had our first attunement and understand somewhat. But maybe you'd like to give everybody the Reiki 101, enlighten people about what it is.
Hey, but before, what I'd like to do is find out a little bit more about you, Teresa.
Okay.
Well, I'm a grandma, and so I'm really just a regular person that's on a path to enlightenment, and it's been about 7-8 years now that I've been on this path, and I got led to Reiki, and I don't know. I don't know. I like to help people. I like to heal. I mean, the healing is just kind of a byproduct. I don't know. Talking about myself is not not something I do real often.
I understand. So what led you into Reiki? How did you get interested in that?
Well, I kind of I was led to Reiki. A friend of mine he was a Reiki master, been one for years and years and years. And I knew him, and I knew what it was, and he'd given me treatments, but I didn't really know what it was. And, it was just like, oh, that's cool. And then one day my sister, who's not much younger than me, develops kidney problems, and she's going to have a transplant or something. And of course, I offer my kidney, and then I start searching for ways to help her. And the Reiki masters had started talking Reiki to me, and so I got attuned basically to save my sister's life.
Well, so how do you do that? Yeah, I mean, I understand Reiki is that energy, that healing energy that you, because of your attunement, can push through your body into your hands and help that individual. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the Reiki, they call it Ray, the Ray and the Ki. The actual word itself means universal life force. The Ray is like the universal, and the other is the life force, and it's universal life force. And once you get an attunement, it's like your body gets retuned to the frequency of the Reiki, which is everywhere. Reiki is in everything. I think it's the Force. From Star Wars, the Force be with you, because it seems, my experiences with it seems like that. And it's kind of I don't know, I hate to say this because people look at me weird, but once you live with Reiki for a few years, you begin to understand that it has a mind of its own. It's almost a sentient creature. It comes on when it wants. It goes where it wants. All I can do is guide it. I can ask it to come in, and I can guide it to places or people that need it. But then again, once, you may think that I'm giving you Reiki for a hurt shoulder, when actually what you need is something else that needs done in your body that's making the pain, and the Reiki will go to that part and take care of it. Now, I don't know how that happens, but it's an amazing amazing energy source.
Why did you go get this Reiki treatment yourself?
Well, I never felt I needed a treatment. I mean, a friend of mine used to give me spot treatments, and he had enormous hands, and he could cover a whole shoulder. And I have bursitis, and he could do 5 minutes on my shoulder, and I was good for 6 months. But once my sister got sick, it's like, and they were telling her this, and they were telling her that, and it was like, no. But I'll tell you one thing though, is that they don't tell you before you get attuned, is that it's forever. You can't undo an attunement once you get tuned. You have that forever with you, forever. The ability.
Why would you not want it?
Well, it's a little scary at first, if you don't realize what you're doing. Because a lot of people say, oh, I want to learn Reiki. Well, that's really a misnomer. You don't learn it until after you get it. I mean, you can read all the books about it, and there's hundreds of articles on the internet about it, and it basically, they don't know where it comes from, they don't understand it, but it does work. And it's not a religion, it's not a cult, it's more of a well, they call it an alternative healing method, right? But that's just like a tiny fraction of what it is. It's actually an amazing way to learn about yourself and help yourself continue on down your path. Now, when I started, I was full of anger from a divorce and a turbulent marriage. I mean, I was so full of anger, it radiated off of me like I was a beacon. I would go in places where there were psychics, and they would like, oh, who is so angry, and I would step away, and it was me. And through the Reiki, I've let go of 90% of the junk that was causing the anger, and it benefits actually the whole world, because the Reiki energy is everywhere, and like you were saying before when we opened, that we are all energy, and it's just a matter of perception and density as to what an object is, whether it's the table, a human being, a glass of water, and the Reiki is in all of us. I think personally, I've been doing some stuff now since I got made Reiki 3. One of the things that I do, well, I've been given the master attunement, but I haven't passed any attunements yet. And I'm supposed to write some kind of paper about either how I came to Reiki, something about Reiki. And over the last few years, I don't know if you've heard about this discovery of the boson-Higgs particle. I think they found where the Reiki lives, and I think I'm going to do my paper along those lines, is do some more research about that, because it just struck me as to, because they were trying to peek between the particles, and I think that's where the Reiki lives, and it's an amazing way to live. I mean, you can. If you don't use it, you do kind of lose it. It doesn't go away, but it like fades off into the background. I know some people that are like just level 1 and they just use it once in a while. But the best way to learn Reiki is to share Reiki. Like when you get your level 1, you're supposed to do a self-healing for 21 days straight in a row. And that's basically to cleanse your body of the other stuff, and to help your body readjust to the new frequencies that it's absorbing. Now, I will warn you, you will become, as you advance through the levels, well, personally, I became more sensitive to all the frequencies around me. It drives my kids crazy sometimes, and it's like, I'll be sitting here and I say, the house is shaking again. He said, what are you talking about, the house is shaking? And I can feel minute vibrations. And I can go in a store, and if a overhead fan is blazing, and the sound and the frequency, it's like, it just like turns me sideways. And I find it quite interesting. And I've talked to some other people, and they said, yeah, you just become a sensitive to all frequencies, which kind of a pain in the behind, but I've adjusted,
So with your sister, did you have success with that, with the kidney problem?
Oh, well, yeah, we did. The kidneys, after a few treatments, the kidneys started going back to some kind of level was out of whack. The the levels went back down, and we still haven't had a replacement, and it's been quite a few years now. And I mean, she's got diabetes, so she does have cascading failures. And from time to time, something will flare up, and we'll handle it, And I even did one thing. She had ringing of her ears, like for months and months. Doctor said nothing wrong. We don't know what it is. Not blood pressure. Blah blah blah. I did some research in my little Reiki books and gave her one treatment, and her ears stopped ringing. I mean, it's just little things like that, and I don't know, it builds up. I just find it absolutely amazing. And like I personally, I'll tell you, I'm a senior now, and I take no prescription medications whatsoever, which apparently I'm supposed to carry a bag full at my age.
Yeah, they would like you to, I think.
Yeah, I attribute it to the Reiki and good genes. I have grandparents.
And attitudes also.
Huh?
And attitude also.
Well, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, but if you'd have seen me years ago, well, you saw me years ago, I was down in the dumpers, But no, it's pretty good, and yeah, and there's a lot of dispute as to the origin of Reiki. Now, I don't know what you've told. Some of the teachers are trying to dismiss all the spiritual stuff that goes along with it and just teach it straight as a healing method. And that's okay. It'll work that way. But I think that some of the backstory, like how it supposedly got discovered and brought to America, is that this little guy, Mikao Usai, supposedly
I say Yushui, but you're probably right.
I don't know. Everybody
he came from Japan. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, went on the spiritual quest. Some say that he taught here and he taught there, but there's no records of some of these things in some of the stories, but there is records of other parts of the story. And basically he was on a search for enlightenment, really, and that's what I feel. And found these symbols and didn't know what they were. Learned it was in Sanskrit. Learned to read Sanskrit. I mean, this occurs over many, many years, like 7 to 14 year period. And he finds these symbols and ends up on top of a mountain doing a meditation to meditate on these symbols to try to figure out what they mean. And then part of it, he went up there for 21 days. Now, some people wonder about the 21 days, and it's like, well, 21 days, I guess you could survive that without food, And then 21 days, if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I mean, there's lots of reasons for the 21 days, but that's also why, as when you first start out, you're supposed to do your self-treatment for 21 days. That's kind of like a nod to his pilgrimage up the mountain. But anyway, he's up there for all these days and days, and finally it's the last day, and he decides, well, nothing's going to happen. He's been meditating up there all by himself, and he decides nothing's going to happen. He gets up and gets ready to leave, and apparently a big ball of light with the symbols in it comes out of the sky and just bam, 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 slashes into him. And he basically gets up and he's charged with Reiki and proceeds to go down the mountain and do miracles and things nobody ever saw before. And eventually it ends up coming to America, like in about 1970. And I think most of it is the most prominent Reiki line in the country, even though there are many, many, many more. But at one time, it almost died out because people were so guarded with the secrets that it came to be only rich people could get the attunements because masters were charging $10,000 an attunement. And since then the attitude has changed because the world needs Reiki, and the world needs more Reiki people to spread it around. We got to spread it more. And part of it is that it also helps raise your consciousness. And the more people that we can get to become Reiki will help raise what's the word? Hang on, I'm looking at my notes. I made a note. The collective consciousness of the entire world. It will help raise that for the next evolutionary stage. And I found that interesting because we've talked about stuff like that before, about everybody moving. And this Reiki, from what I've been reading, and there's lots of really good articles out there. You know,
Well,
well,
Yeah, it's free, and so
Yeah.
it's a gift to the world.
and here's sort of the definition that many individuals sort of focus in on. They say Reiki postulates the existence of universal energy unknown to science and thus far undetectable that surrounds your human body, which practitioners like you can learn to manipulate using their hands.
well, that's a lot of words I'm not sure what it says. It's like, well, it's there. I can channel it and use it. I guess that's pretty much what it said. You know,
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing thing, and
So how would you describe? Okay, you say you're level 3. What's level 1? What's the difference between level 1, 2, and 3?
well, level 1 is like basically it's like your cleansing period, I think, and you're getting used to the energy period and learning how to use the power symbol. You know, and you do that for a while. Or sometimes people get all their attunements in a weekend, but I think it's better really to digest the energy and the things that you've just done to yourself, and you get a certain amount of power, and you can give treatments and do yourself, and it gets the ball rolling, you know. And level 2, everything increases, and you can delve a little more in bigger symbols, and you go a little deeper into yourself, and at level 3, you get basically access to all the symbols, and you know, then you can use everything. And once you pass an attunement, then you're a master. Like I said, I still haven't done that yet. And then my Reiki master passes away, so it's like, oh, I've got to do it on my own, and that's like super scary because there's going to be a tremendous amount of energy. I mean, being level 3, the amount of energy that I feel coursing through me on a daily basis at times is a little scary because I've been told that I'm an excellent conduit, you know, and there's times that since I haven't passed an attunement that I can feel the energy is built up, and it's like, oh, I'm going to burst into flame if I don't put this on something. You know? So, I mean, it feels the way to your spine, just like the energy runs up and down my spine, and it's a patch about that big. And there's times when it's like, whoa, just cut it out.
The way I kind of understood it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, is level 1 would be healing somebody who is there in front of you, and
touching,
right. Level 2 would be healing somebody at a distance, and level 3 would be to the teacher level.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that because you get different symbols. You know, when you're level 1, you only get the power symbol. When you're 2, you get the distance healing, and then you get the other one. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your work, you have found that you can also energize objects.
Oh yeah, this is one of the most exciting things that I feel, and one of the ways that I right now am sharing Reiki. Like, you can charge stones, you know, rocks, crystals, quartzes, candles. You know, like I've had great success with many stones. Is that you charge it up with your Reiki. Now it goes along with some of the Wiccan and the magic stuff. It's like I found in this one book that I have is like, it was almost a little formula. You could charge this stone and tell it to only come on and off when needed, or when asked to. The energy would stay in the stone, and I'll be darned if it didn't work. You know, I charge the stone. It takes about a half an hour. You know, I just hold it in my hands, and the hands get really, really, really hot. I mean, what you got right now, you know, intensifies dramatically by the time you get to level 3. You know, and I'll charge it. The objects take about a half an hour, and you know, like, you know, the Reiki will shut off when it's done. When the object is full, it will shut off, and then while I'm doing it, I do the little incantation with the intention. You know, intention is everything, and then I test the stone later on, and I tell it to come on, and it comes on, and then I tell it shut off. You know, just thinking. You know, it's like, no, this can't work, but it did. You know?
So what would you charge a stone with or for?
Well, so far I've mostly done like amethysts, which are healing stones, and you can charge it for a specific purpose. But Reiki goes where Reiki wants to go, and it's usually for the highest good of the self, the greater good of self. So you can say, I want this stone charged for hearts, and you can do that, but the Reiki will send the energy where it needs to go. So I just, general healing, I just charge things for the healing of the higher good of the person carrying this stone, and let it go at that.
Does it matter the size of the stone?
No. No, speaking of stones, one thing that I've done, we haven't talked about Blankies behind me yet, but these are my Gigi's Blankies. It's another business. I'm always trying to find a business, but I don't like bosses. And, they're falling down. This is tigers. I don't know how good you can see them, but a while back I started this. It's inspired by my granddaughter. These are toddler security blankets. And the purpose of a security blanket for a toddler is for basically self-soothing, which is a very important thing. Little toddler is full of turbulence in their daily life. They got to learn how to work their body. They got to get along with other people. They got to, all kinds of stuff. And something like a blankie, it's got the satiny edges. They get that blankie and they just go off by themselves and they just take care of their issues by themselves. And I'm still making them and selling them. And one thing I've come up with, actually, I was inspired by another friend of ours, Amy Pomar. She come up with this a while back, and there, I'll put it up. I haven't quite, this is still a prototype because
you need to move it more in front of you. There you go.
Yeah, there you are.
It's just a little bag, and this is a Reiki symbol that I put on it, and there's a charged crystal sewn in the bottom of the bag. And the premise is that I would charge the blankie full of Reiki, right? And the child has the blankie, the child receives the Reiki, but then you got to wash the blankie because it gets dirty. Now, when you wash anything that's been charged with energy, it takes the energy away, it cleanses it. So when you would do that, you could fold it back up and put it in the Reiki bag and recharge the blankie. Now, this bag here has been made for about a year. I wanted to make sure that the energy stayed in the stone. And I was told by a Reiki master much more experienced than me that once a stone is charged, as long as it's not cleansed, which is putting it in the water, fire, sand, whatever, it should hold the charge forever. So I've got it out, and the other day there's still a charge on this stone, and it's been in the drawer for like about a year. So we're kind of debuting the Reiki bags with Blankies. So we're going to start a marketing campaign with that, and I think from what I've been told, it should be effective. Like again, she was talking about charging them for certain reasons, but again, the Reiki goes to the highest good of whatever it needs. And it's really quite amazing, this energy work. And
so if it's a Reiki bag, what do you put in the bag?
Oh well, I'm going to put the blankie in the bag. I'm going to I got to open it. The blankies will fold up really nice. The compact one, the traveling ones, they fold up quite nicely and fit right in there. And then you can hang it in the laundry room while it charges. Like I got to make sure I put in things that. The bag is not for the child, that's for the grown-up, and, we'll put the blank, or you could put whatever you wanted in the bag to charge it up. It should charge whatever gets in the bag, and, so we're gonna give that a shot,
So is that overnight, or for an hour, or just put it in and take it out? How does that work, Teresa?
I would say, I never timed it, but I would say probably an hour. Like I said, most objects charge half an hour to 45 minutes. So I'd say probably I would give it an hour, and I like to charge lots of things. I charge things. And then one thing, too, that's really neat about being Reiki, even you all say you have level 1, is that wherever you go, whatever you touch, you're supposed to leave a trace of Reiki behind. Now, I don't know if that's true, but the stuff comes on when I got no control over it. So I just kind of like, when I'm out in the public, I just kind of like beam it out into the people. You know, like when I was at a funeral the other day and it came on, it was so hot I was sweating. You know, and I had done a little research about Reiki and that subject, and said that the best thing to do is just send it to the people that are in the room. And that's what I did. I sat there with my hands up or cupped like this and just beamed it out into the room. And it's something I'm going to work a lot more with. And my friend that passed, we had talked about starting a Reiki school, you know, here in town, and I think we're gonna go for that. I'm going to start doing the best I can. I have a big room downstairs that would be a perfect Reiki classroom. And I think that's what we're going to start doing, you know. Because we got to share. We need to share the Reiki with the rest of the world.
That is true. When you are giving treatments to individuals and you're laying your hands on them or you're allowing that energy to flow, do you personally see colors?
Sometimes.
And
Sometimes. Mostly what I see when I close my eyes is like, well, it depends. Like I said, it depends. Sometimes I see, sometimes I don't. But it's usually, I see like these rings of, they're not a color, but they're like, oh,
Is it the Reiki symbol?
No, well, no, it's just colors. It's like it's like I can see the energy pouring out of me, you know, and it's like I just see these circles that just go out and out and out and out. And sometimes there's colors in them, sometimes there's not, you know, and yeah, sometimes I see things when I'm in one of them, but mostly the seeing stuff is when I'm doing like a deep meditation for myself. You know, because when I'm doing it for somebody, I still got to stand there and I got to make sure I don't tip over and I got to change hands positions, you know. But when I'm at home and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm really deep into meditation with the music and everything, yeah, I've seen lots of colors, you know. This one time I even saw a crystal chest full of crystals.
really?
That was quite fascinating. Like, once I got attuned to Reiki, when I close my eyes and relax, I start having these little green fuzzy lights come, and they would like come and just and then just like one after another, right? And at first I said, oh man, I've got a brain tumor, what the heck's going on here? You know. And but I talked to some other Reiki people and they said, no, you're adjusting. They said it was downloads from the universe, right? I said, well, okay, I can live with that. You know, so like almost every night just before I go to bed, I have some kind of activity behind the eyes. And it makes me smile and go to sleep. But one time I was doing it when I was awake, and I saw this light way off in the distance. And I told myself, I said, well, I can't see that. And it went zoom and zoomed right into me, which was a little startling. But there was this crystal treasure box. Full, I mean, just brimming full of crystals that were just spilling around it. And it was like, well, that's a really, it was a very encouraging picture too. I mean, just the box of crystals. I have lots of crystals in my house, and I think crystals are pretty neat. And in a lot of my sci-fi shows, crystals are what they use to transmit data, store energy, do all kinds of stuff, you know. And I can see that happening, you know. I mean, they're already doing some stuff with that, but yeah, crystals are pretty cool. And,
yeah, we hope to have somebody that's deep into the crystal thing come on the show soon.
Yeah, well, I have to watch. Well, I kind of like dabble in about everything.
Yeah.
And but Reiki, I have, you know, Reiki. Well, Reiki too. It affects so much stuff, and like part of it goes, well, one of the best Reiki books that I have is written by a Wiccan Reiki practitioner where he incorporates the Reiki and magic. And he has in his book so many symbols that people have been given in meditations that actually work. Like when you're doing like meditations or healings for certain things, you can use different symbols where you can like draw it over the client or draw it into your hand so that it enhances your energy. And they work, believe me, and but you can too receive symbols. for yourself. And part of this magic book is symbols. They call it the newer symbols, and it's symbols that people have received in meditations and that other people have tried, and it works for them. Now, I received a symbol in a meditation one time, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. It's like it's like two T's standing together, and then it has almost like the symbol of the raku down in the bottom. Raku is like lightning bolts.
Oh, okay.
Would that be like the pi symbol?
No, it's not.
So it's two separate T's.
Yeah, it's like two T's. That their letters connect, and then one comes off the bottom. And like this, it was very startling when it came to me. I mean, it came flying from the side. It was like the letters were black, and it had big gold streaks coming out of it. I mean, there was no way that I could miss this as a message. And it just come flying off from the side and popped into my field of vision. I was like, I think I'm supposed to remember that, And so I have drawn it, and it's up on the wall. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I think I'm close. I think since my first initial is T, and I associate with that letter a lot, and I like teas, and I drink tea. I mean, teas are all over my life. And I think part of it is the two T's represent the old and the new me, and they've come to, because I'm a Gemini, which means there's more. Well, my ex used to say there's more than one person living in this body.
The twins.
And I come to, in my old age, I've come to agree with that. I have quite lively discussions with myself.
Do you win when you
it
argue with
depends
yourself?
what side I'm on. No, I don't always win. My kids think, they hear and hear, who are you talking to? I said, I was having a discussion with myself. Now, who knows me better than myself?
That's right.
And there's not too many more intelligent people in the house than me. So who better to have a discussion with about me than me? So.
Yep. Yeah, I understand.
That's a deep question I like to ask people. Are we who we think we are, or are we who other people see us as?
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
Because it actually is both. Yeah.
They have done studies where we really are a composite of three things: what we think we are, what other people think we are, and then our unknown self. And oftentimes, if we can get the majority of the three to sort of coalesce together.
And that's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Teresa, I'm curious, when you're laying your hands on an individual, do you go into a trance? What do you do on the mental capacity to keep that energy flowing?
Well, you really don't have to do anything but open up your channels and get out of the way. The energy will do what it's going to do, and like you could hold it in one spot. You can feel it cycle on and off as it's coming out, and when it cycles off, then it's time to move on to the next position. Now, sometimes when I first started doing it, it was all concentration, super concentration, and make it come, and all that. And you can make it come more, but if you're overstressing it, it may not do any good. So, you read in the books and talked to the Reiki teacher. It's like, no, it cycles on and off. And usually, like, if you're holding it there, you can feel it coming out, and then when you feel it ebb, it's time to move on to the next position. And then you stay there, or 3 to 5 minutes in each position. Unless something is really bad and you got to stay there. Sometimes you'll be drawn to an area and you just stay there and beam it, and then other times when I'm thinking, like, as I've gotten older and more experienced with it, is I'll turn the Reiki on, like I said, and get out of the way. Think about what I'm going to do later, what I need to do next week, or just let it ride. Just do a meditation while you're standing there. And you get a healing when you give a healing too, which is one of the really cool things about this. So there's no right or wrong way really, and like I mentioned earlier, is that a lot of this is intention. You intend, the intention is something of the law, but intention is tremendous in this field. It's what's in your mind and in your heart, and the Reiki just flows. Like I said, when I do a treatment, I just turn it on and get out of the way. I like to turn on some kind of music, soothing music, so I just go listen to the music, and one thing too, when you're doing, make sure you don't press down on people too hard, because if you get into your side too hard, you might start pushing on the person. I've done that before, and they go, ugh, so
I can't breathe.
Right. You want lightest touch as possible, and you can even do it without totally touching them. You could hover over top, and it still has the same effect.
Right. What do people come to you for?
Well, let's see. Well, my granddaughter, she uses me as a general fixer. Now, I also make this oil. I have this little blend of oil that I make. It's my Reiki healing oil. And it's a blend of some oils I've discovered over the years that have pretty amazing healing properties. And I charge it with Reiki also, which boosts the healing properties of this oil. Now, she comes to me, she gets an owie, a bruise, a bump, a scrape. She comes to Gigi, puts some oil in it. We call it magic around my house. And she said, put some magic on it. And I'll put some magic on it, 5-10 minutes. And she said, okay, poof, she's gone. But like my dad, he had bad knees. My sister had the kidney thing. And then over time, it's been other things, other parts of the body. Reiki's good for everything. I personally have neck issues once in a while, and I got arthritis in my ankle, and I got bursitis, and I can during a treatment I can beam it through myself and feel it splatter on the back of my skin. Now I don't know, it's hard to explain. You got your hands here, you can't reach your shoulder blade, right? Very well, but you can beam it through yourself.
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone can do this, but I can beam it through, and I can feel it splatter on my bone and spread out. And a lot of this is visualization too. It's like when I first started with Patrick, we did these exercises about a pot on top of your head with the liquid coming out, and it's something like that. I visualize the Reiki going out of my hands into the person, and sometimes, like when I give distance healings or send distance at night, I visualize the person laying in their bed, and I ask I do a lot of spirit side too with this, and I ask any helpers to go around the bed and help me give this treatment. So I visualize the person in the bed and my guides around the bed, and then I just proceed to visually fill them up with Reiki. Like in a cartoon, almost like, when you got the gas gauge. I just slowly fill them up with Reiki. And then when I fill them up, then I'm done. And it seems to be effective. My family tells me that they can tell when I send Reiki as opposed to one of the other family members sends it. It's like, wow. And my sister has even, I'm trying to get her to agree to attunement. I don't know if she's going to, but she has told me that her natural Reiki, now you do have natural Reiki, her natural Reiki has come on, because she gets a lot of in my family we have my mom, my stepmom, my dad, my daughter, my daughter-in-law, and myself are all tuned to Reiki, so there's Reiki all around her, and I guess Dad gives her treatments quite frequently, and she said it started to come on, and you can tap into it without being tuned, but it's like the getting tuned just raises your antenna to catch that frequency more and bring it in, and you can send it back out, which it still amazes me. Do you feel it running through your body when you turn it on? You guys, when you turn your Reiki on, do you feel it running through your body?
specifically through the hands.
Yeah.
You know, one of the nice things, if you ever get headaches, I usually put my hand right where the headache is, and I assume that the pain is absorbed through the hands, and I can feel in each of the palms a tingling sensation. The pain's gone. Now I don't know if I'm just treating the pain, or I'm treating, you know, the symptom or the actual kind of thing.
The Reiki goes where it's needed, you know. It's you got a headache, or like I have issues with my throat a lot, so I'm always sitting around. It comes on, I sit around like this, you know, and like even when you're driving, if it comes on when you're driving, just, you know, like I slap it on my heart, you know, or you can draw. One thing you can do, like when you start doing distance things that I thought was a trip, is like you can draw like a surrogate doll on your leg and name it to be a person, and while you're driving you can send Reiki to somebody. You can drive your car and just down the road and just be sending it. And my sister says she feels it every time.
Very good.
So,
Very good. Very good.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you on the blankets.
Okay.
What got you to charging blankets, and how does that help people?
Well, the
Now they're
charging
baby
of-
blankets, right?
Yeah, the blanket. I can charge any size blanket, but yeah, what kind of did it is one day. Well, Shane, my granddaughter, inspired me to do the start the Blankies. I started making them when she was, well, before she was born. I started making them as gifts for other people's babies. And when she came, I started making them, and then she just loved them. Like, she has more Blankies than anybody. I had to keep her out of the blankie drawer, you know. And she'll be 8 next week, but she still loves Blankies. But the charging came about one day when I was doing the laundry, or the laundry was done, and I was sitting there, and her Blankies were sitting there folding, and I just had my hand on it, and the Reiki came on. And I said, "Oh, you want to charge the blankie?" So I let it charge the blankie, and Shane said it made the blankies better, you know. But and that it's just a good way to share, because now you can share your Reiki with you know, doing healing treatments, you know, one person at a time, which, you know, is excellent, and we all should do more of that. But there's more than that way to share it, you know, and I want to explore all the ways to get it out into the universe, because instead of the shift from a few years ago being helpful to society, it seems to have created chaos. I mean, look around the world. I mean, this is not what we were supposed to be having in this time. We're not supposed to be having chaos and hating this and hating that, and people doing bad to all of us. And sharing the Reiki is what it's going to help save the world. I'm sorry, I think, you know. And the more I read about it, and the more I get involved with the Reiki community online, which is quite large. Like there's this world peace meditation they have every now and then, that there's symbols in a dedicated time for people to stop and just send Reiki out to the world. You send it to your political healers or your political people. I mean, you can send Reiki to anybody and it goes for the greater good of us all. I mean,
Can you ever use it in a bad sense? You know, voodoo is one of those.
It's like good mojo and bad mojo.
Yeah, and I don't mean Reiki is involved with voodoo, but voodoo tends to be that kind of energy on a negative basis.
Right.
And
Yes.
Reiki tends to be on a positive. Well, can you use that negative Reiki energy? Like, for instance, Mike stepped on my toe, so I want to zap his ear. Can we do that?
No.
Okay.
No, Reiki will do no harm. It's kind of, I don't know, built into it. I mean, it comes from the universe, and it's only for the greater good. So, no, everything I've read, it says Reiki will do no harm.
Yeah, it's a higher energy.
If it can't do any good, it will move on and do good, go somewhere where it can do good. You know, so that's why I'm saying it's kind of a sentient being, I think, or an entity, maybe not a being, but a sentient entity. Because I mean, the more I read about it, and they are doing, I'm having light problems here.
Maybe
they
it's
have
the
done a lot-
energy.
Yeah, my hands are on, man. It's cooking, and it likes to be talked about. And they've been doing more and more scientific study. Well, actually, in the last, I don't know, since the like 2000, more and more studies have been done to. Nobody has actually recorded the Reiki coming out yet. I'm waiting for that because it is going to happen. But they have done studies and tests and research that it does work. I mean, it works
You
on.
can't. Yes, as a matter of fact, there's several hospitals that use alternate healing, and one of them is the laying of hands on
Yep.
on,
Yep.
on individuals.
And, Reiki, in addition to like modern medicine, would like boost the power of the modern medicine because it's not a replacement for healing. It's not. I mean, I do know people that depend on it more than they should, but basically it realigns all your energies in your body and balances you out so that your own natural healing abilities can work. You know, somebody once told me it's like the Reiki tries to set things back to factory specs. You know, and so then you can heal yourself, and it's like, well, that's pretty cool, you know. And
So there could be a couple different things acting, whether it's the energy that you're putting on somebody, or the power of the mind and the belief of healing, and your mind actually heals your own self. That could be a combination of those things.
but the Reiki will work if you don't believe. My father got attuned, totally skeptical, right? He'll be like 85 in a few weeks, a month. And he totally skeptical. Said, this is not going to work. You're all full of hooey. It does work. And he says, I don't know how it works, but it does. You know, you don't have to believe. I mean, that's why that in some areas they strictly do it on the medical side. They don't mention anything about the spiritual work as part of it, you know, because it can work without total belief. You know, I was totally skeptical when I started this. It's like, get out of here. You know, I'm going to snatch this stuff out of there. I'm going to stick it in you and you're going to be better. It's like, but it works. You know, and even the cats, the animals like it. You know, you can give Reiki to your animals. And supposedly cats already have a lot of natural Reiki. You know, no, my cat's over here watching me. He's wondering what the heck I'm doing. He started coming in the frame. When the Reiki comes on, he comes around, you know, and he's a very strange cat.
Well, yeah, cats are healing tools at our disposal too. You know, just like other animals, as what you're saying. But does it also, when your energy is turned on, just like your lights were flickering, we can say it's because of lightning or it was because of energy sources. Oftentimes, people that are highly charged will affect transmissions. And do you find that when your Reiki is on, that it does affect electronics around you?
Sometimes it depends upon what I'm doing. Like one time my battery kind of went down in my car, and I actually was able to go out there enough to bring it from, you know, you turn it and it did nothing to in a few minutes, you know, like maybe 10 minutes, bring it to where it went click, click, click. You know, I mean, I couldn't get it to where it charged completely, but I have seen where things malfunction. Like when I first got going, things would malfunction around me a lot, you know, and so, yeah, you can, but not so much because they're on different frequencies, you know. And but when it gets built up a lot, it can interfere, you know, with things. But mostly it's a benign energy that just wants to help the world. And
so when you put that energy in the blankets, I'm assuming it's for little ones.
Well, I mean, if big people want my blankets, I got no problem with that.
Okay. What does it do for them?
I'll even make a big size blankie if somebody wants it, you know.
That's true.
It'd be for the highest good of the person or the child that was had the blanket, you know. And then as they had it, the Reiki would rub off on them.
I know that you have a number of different designs, and I'm assuming very rarely do you have two designs on your blankets, like the one in the back with the blue, that sort of has a neat
This
neat
one?
color and
Yeah. Well, not different.
Yeah.
Different. Quite frequently, I put different pictures on the back. Now the tigers, it's the same because I really like the tigers.
Okay, if you'll hold it up in front of your face so we can see it.
Let's see if we got the tigers right. Okay, see, it's tigers with blue eyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very good.
With the orange background. And this one is like, it's for boys. I try to do, some gender specific and a lot of gender neutral. That's got the little footballs, and then I put just stripes on the back of that one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So some of it is what I got available. The mood strikes me. Sometimes I get assistance from my granddaughter, and she said, "No, put this with this, and put that with that," and it works out. People like them, but I still have trouble though getting adults to understand that giving a little boy a blankie is not going to hurt his masculinity. So many fathers, even mothers, oh, he doesn't need a blanket, he's a tough guy. But actually, we all need something to help us soothe ourselves. Self-soothing is a very important step in human development. That's how. It's like when the kid gets told no, how does he react? Does he go take care of his go sit down, take care of himself with the blankie, or does he go punch the cat? So it's or attack his little sister or whatever. And I still got to find a better way to get that across to the adults. The children know exactly what this is for. I've had blankies. I've had little babies that couldn't talk come in the house, toddlers, before speech, and there'll be blankies laying out, and I'll give them one. They grab this blanket, they immediately go like this. They know exactly what it's for. The problem I have is the parent, is getting them to understand,
So what you're saying is I should put aside my teddy bear and use a blanket instead.
Well, no, if you have a teddy bears are cool. I can make him a vest with satin on it.
No, I think it's very important.
I think my supervisor needs to know. I need my blankie and I need a nap. 1:30 in the afternoon. It's my blankie and nap time.
But it is, we do like when we're getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm assuming also with the children, it's nice to be comfortable and to be at peace, and maybe that's what Reiki does, is it allows the body of the young one to
A balancing energy.
Yeah.
Well, I know my granddaughter. Well, she got laryngitis last week. My granddaughter, that's 7, and like she's having trouble kicking it. Like it's not terribly bad, but the medicine goes, and then it'll be like yucky, and like. Last night I told her, I said, look, you need to let me give you some Reiki for your throat. And she has a very busy schedule in the next 3 days or 2 days. So I had to we made a Reiki appointment with my 7-year-old granddaughter for Saturday or Sunday afternoon. She said, that's the only time I'm available, but I really want you to do it for me. It's like, oh, she's just amazing. She'll be 8, and it's like 8 going on 18, it's just. But yeah, she understands it, and we're gonna attune her probably in a couple of years. There's studies been done about children at a young age when they get attuned, and if they're properly trained, it enhances the rest of their life. I mean, they do better in high school, they do better in relationships. There's been studies done about Reiki, different aspects of Reiki. All over the place. It's just now they're finally coming together since it's becoming more acceptable, and there are more Reiki people in the world spreading it. And I'm going to do my best. My Reiki master, I believe one of his missions in life was to spread it. He attuned everybody. He didn't charge anything. There was an energy exchange of some kind. You always gave something to him, but he gave you the attunement. And to spread it and to spread it. But one thing I found out recently is that he didn't make too many masters, which means I have more responsibility to carry this forth. So that's what I'm going to start doing is we're going to do Reiki school. We're going to try to do more healing sessions. I've got in the town that I live in, which you all know where that is. Some of this stuff is a little tough to sell, but I'm going to check with the hospitals and see what kind of Reiki treatment or Reiki programs we've got at our hospitals. And if they don't have one, do we want to start one? Same with Hillview over there, the retirement center. I have a couple friends over there that work there, and I was like, so I'm going to rededicate. I'm basically rededicating myself to Reiki today to do better, be better, share it more. I'm going to try to talk about it more. I believe I'm going to start doing more videos on my channels. I have several things out there already. Patrick has helped me with, and
well, curiosity, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, there's your good old Facebook, just my name, and then there's, like I said, there's Gigi's Blankies, and there's Musings with Steve and Teresa, which you can contact me, or my email, which hasn't changed in 15 years.
And I know it's going to be posted, but what is that again?
The email?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, TL Clark 5309 at gmail.com.
And basically they can purchase blankets from you.
Yeah.
The pouches, the crystallized pouches. Do you sell crystals too?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I think we're going to start a line of charged crystals of all kinds, because different crystals give you different healing properties.
Yeah,
I put quartz in here because quartz is a good all around everything crystal. That's why it gets used a lot. But for some of my personal things, like when I give gifts of healing stones, I usually pick a really nice piece of amethyst, which is a nice healing stone.
Huh.
But yeah, I'm going to start. I plan on one way I'm going to share it is by selling products and marketing candles too. We're going to do a line of candles, and supposedly you charge it with the Reiki, and then when you burn it, it gets released into the air. So.
Very good. Very good. Yeah,
other stuff works. Why not that?
Teresa, we have about 2 minutes,
Okay.
and I'd like for you to share words of wisdom to the listening audience. But you only have 2 minutes worth.
2 minutes. Do better, be better. When in doubt, keep your mouth shut. Silence is golden.
Well,
I have discovered that even though I do talk a lot and say a lot of things, there are times when silence is the total best thing to say. Because silence can never be misquoted.
Well, I think you're very true on that. Is sometimes we're really meant to listen and learn rather than.
Yeah, people don't listen as much as they should.
No, they don't, and I think listening. So many people don't. I mean, that's one of the things lately. People say we're having conversations. It's like, but did you hear me?
No, I was just waiting for you to stop talking so I could talk again.
So many people don't, and yeah, it's been fun. I didn't know if I could stretch an hour of Reiki talk, but it wasn't a problem.
Well, we're talking about something that means something personal to you.
Yeah.
And you've had a lot of experience, and you've been around
lots more.
a lot of individuals that also are involved with Reiki, and you have a lot of things that you can share.
Yeah, I guess I do. I like I said, I don't really like talking about myself, but I talk about Reiki. That's another thing. That's not me. That's Reiki. I'm just a conduit. And but again, we'll have to do this again because some of the things that I've discovered about Reiki tie into Magenta and Dolores and this one and that one, and
I would very
it all
much.
goes together.
Yeah, we would love to have you back coming on and sharing some things. So
Yeah.
maybe in a month
We
or
will.
two, we'll have you come back on.
All righty. Thank you so very much.
So we're talking with Teresa Clark. Teresa Clark is a Reiki practitioner, just a fun-loving individual. And if you get a chance, you can go to TL Clark 5309 dot or at gmail.com and talk with her about looking at some of the blankets and things of that nature. Teresa, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and it was fun. I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be.
It's like falling off a log.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for our viewers, and we'll see you next time.